Business English Idioms with Dylan Gates from British English Coach. So I'm going to talk about this idiom, to stand your ground. So again, we have an example. See if you can guess what the meaning is. Bob walked into his boss's office and demanded a raise. His boss refused point blank and stood his ground until Bob left with his tail between his legs. Okay, now there are actually a couple of other phrases or idioms you might not know here. So a raise, of course, is when you get a salary increase. To refuse point blank is when you say no very directly. And if you leave with your tail between your legs, then you leave after and feel embarrassed or humiliated or ashamed. Okay, so to stand your ground, Bob walked into his boss's office and demanded a raise. His boss refused point blank and stood his ground until Bob left with his tail between his legs. So to stand your ground, does it mean option A, to change your position due to pressure? Option B, to maintain your position despite pressure to change? Or option C, to stay on your feet even when you want to sit down? So I'll give you a chance to look at the example again. Bob walked into his boss's office and demanded a raise. His boss refused point blank and stood his ground until Bob left with his tail between his legs. So choose your answer, A, B, or C. And the answer is B. To stand your ground means to maintain your position even when you are under pressure to change. Okay? So, can you think of a time when you were put under a lot of pressure to change your opinion or decision or maybe your behavior? And what happened? Did you stand your ground or did you finally concede and make that change? And in general, are you able to stand your ground or do you not like confrontation and generally give in to somebody else's demand? Okay, let's check a sentence to see if it's correct. So tell me if this is correct or incorrect. I remember when I had an interview for a managerial position a few years ago. I knew they wanted me, but I wasn't satisfied with their offer salary. I told them I would only work for a higher salary, stood my ground, and finally they gave in and we signed my contract there and then. To do something there and then means to do something in that moment, in that place. So what do you think? Is it correct or incorrect? It's correct. So to stand your ground, of course, is to maintain your position, your idea, your decision, your behavior, not to change, even though you're under a lot of pressure. Okay, so that was Business English Idioms from British English Coach. See you next time.